Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, our first post-Team of the Year episode. In this episode, I want to kick things off first by showing you guys how to fix one of the biggest glaring glitches with Team of the Year, and that is the sets and actually being able to make the ultimate Team of the Year items. One of the biggest issues with the game all year round has been the autofill of sets. Countbound player items essentially is broken how to autofill. They removed the ability to multi-select because they couldn't fix it, and unfortunately, it's really come to the forefront with Team of the Year because it is legitimately just an incessant amount of sets to get packs, going through the pack animations to then put into sets, and unfortunately, if you autofill, if you have any account-bound player items, it will block it and not add in the stuff correctly, so much so that you legitimately just will not be able to add the final card required to make the ultimate Team of the Year item, so I want to show you guys how to fix that real quick. So the first thing I want to show you guys is if you've got a lot of account-bound player items that you don't want to get rid of by quick selling and just losing. For example, the Fantasy John Carlson I have account bound. I don't want to just lose him, even though it's probably a lost cause. What you want to do is go to manage lineups and create a new lineup. And then once you've got that lineup, throw in all of the B and D cards that you don't want to just get rid of. And what that will allow you to do is when you go to autofill a set, it's not going to pull any of the cards that are currently in your lineup. So you put this lineup in play, and then you go to autofill, and as long as you've got all of your account-bound player items out of the way, they won't block the autofill feature. Now, the biggest issue that is coming up that as you're going through the process to make one of the ultimate Team of the Year items, when you go ahead and autofill from your collection for the nominee version, it should just work and fill as long as you don't have any account-bound players that are blocking it. So again, players that you don't have in your lineup, make sure you just put them in an active lineup, and you should be able to complete the set. The big issue is that when you go to do the final trade-in, so that's going to be the 90 overall base Team of the Year item, and then 10 87 and above player items that are required, if you just autofill, there's going to be one final spot that just will not work, and if you go and manually select it, it won't allow you to put that last player in it. It will give you an error. The way around this is you can autofill it once, remove the base Team of the Year item, so the 90 overall, go down and put in your last 87 and above overall item so that you've got those 10 items there, and then you can go ahead and manually add the Nathan McKinnon card, in my instance, to the final set, and that will allow you to trade it in. It's actually absurd that knowing the issues with autofill and whatnot that they went this route, but it is what it is. This is currently the only workaround that I know of that will allow you to complete the set. So not only are they extremely expensive, but the actual completion of it for a majority of the player base, you guys just have no idea how to fix it. So this is the workaround for that issue specifically. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to the questions from the last video, go over all of these. And again, I'll do an episode of Who Should You Choose every day during Team of the Year to try and help you guys out. I think it's one of the events where the more casual player base, like, you should be in the know as much as possible. So I'll try and cover, again, the most liked questions or the most common questions that I see in these videos. Again, if you don't get your question answered and you really want to know something, I stream every single day. Hop in my stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/nosleeves12, and ask me there. I'll answer immediately in chat. So, if you're able to catch me live, I'll answer any of the hot questions that you've got. So, second worst player. It says, hey, Sleeves, I have already made Connor McDavid's Team of the Year card by trading in his Frozen Forces MSP. I also have Kucherov's Frozen Forces MSP, and I have 10 87s as of right now. Should I make Kucherov this week? He will be my second line. Or should I wait for next week and make one of the defensemen? Thanks for all you do. Your channel helps me out a ton with HUT. This is tough because I believe the Frozen Forces MSP is, what, 2 or 3 87s off of the total cost, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head. So that's a pretty significant discount. In all honesty, I think that the first two that you should try and make are McKinnon and McDavid, right? So I would try and make McKinnon over Kucherov. But you're not going to be able to take advantage again of the Frozen Forces MSP until maybe Team of the Season, it looks like. Ooh, this is tough. Because I actually think, like, Kucherov's card is fantastic, but I actually think that Heisey's card might be slightly better. If you have no fantasy defenseman, so I'm talking no Parayko, no Ekholm, no Sanheim, no Axel Sandin Palika, so like the high fantasy guys, I would probably wait for a defenseman. B-Man says, I had 550,000 coins, blew it on nominee packs instead of buying 87s, and then I find out that I can use Frozen Forces McDavid for his Team of the Year, and I should have just saved my coins and bought 87s. I would have already had Team of the Year McDavid, and I could probably make MacDog too if I did that now. I can probably only make McDavid. Dumb question on my part, or dumb decision on my part, but also question. Do you think we will get nominee packs again next week for just the Team of the Year D-men and goalies? I would assume so. Yeah, no, actually, no. I don't think so because we've already it included all the defensemen and goalies already. Yeah, I got in and Debian. So, no, I think those were just a pre-team of the year as its entirety. Before that. Hey, Slaves, thanks for your input on Team of the Year. I sold my 2 children and my left kidney in order to trade in my X Factor McDavid. I had him for 3 weeks now and get McDavid and McKinnon's Team of the Year. It hurt, but hopefully later on it'll be worth it. No Money Spent video will be coming out very shortly. I have more on that series in a little bit in that video for anyone that has been wondering where my No Money Spent videos have been. Today I traded in my X Factor McDavid and I sat there and just was like, not because it's not the right move because the Team of the Year card is just better. You get everything that you will eventually get with the X Factor version. It's the fact that I grinded everything that I got for 2.5 months to get that card, and just it pains me to do that. It was just absurd. It's an insane lack of planning and just a complete disregard for your hardcore player base, in my opinion. It's kind of unacceptable, but it's just the new regime's thought process on how content should work year round. So I'm with you, brother. Hey, Slaves, I love watching your videos. Keep up the great work. The question I have is, should I make the Team of the Year Nathan McKinnon? I have already made Taylor Heisey and Nikita Kucherov, and I have Roman Yossi's nominee card. I've been making cards based on my favorite players, which makes it more fun, like you said. But I have enough resources to make at least one more Team of the Year card. I'd like to make McKinnon, but Yossi is one of my favorite players. So should I make the McKinnon or hold out and hope Yossi gets a Team of the Year card? And I already have 94 Sanheim, Jean Morrison, and Werenski. Again, love the videos. Keep up the great work. Even if Yossi got a card, I would probably go McKinnon just because that card is so good. It will be one of the best cards for the entire year. I would go McKinnon. Hey, Slaves, lineup question. I got Frozen Forces McDavid, X Factor Kucherov 90 overall, and X Factor Heisey 90 overall. Which of the 3 should I focus on making? Oh. McDavid for sure. I would make Heisey over Kucherov simply for the lineup flexibility. They're roughly the same size, so it's not like a size situation. And I don't love gold puck on a string for a majority of the player base. There's a section of the player base that would thrive with puck on a string, but unless you grind World of Chell, you're probably not one of them. I think I would go Heisey. I honestly would. Like, in a vacuum, guys, you have to understand, these cards aren't ever leaving your lineup. So that means that Kucherov being a left-handed winger is 100% for the rest of the game one of your 4 left wingers. Heisey will at least be one of your 4 right-handed wingers or 4 centermen. So that's where the tiebreak is for me. Team of the Year question. I have McDavid and McKinnon. I can still make 3 more. Do I make Heisey and Kucherov and 1 defenseman, or do I make 1 forward and 2D? What do you think? If 1 forward, which one? I already have X Factor B and D Kucherov. Oh my god, dude, this is like the hard one. If you have B and D Kucherov, there's no reason to make Kucherov because even though the X Factor is not nearly as good, it's just like you can just upgrade him as he goes, and it's very cheap to upgrade X Factors, guys. It is. The McDavid one is simply because it's like so far. Like if you were to do Team of the Year Kucherov and McDavid, right, and you don't play McDavid at center, Kucherov is number 2 on your team, right? That's my thought process on that. So, do I make Heisey and Kucherov and 1 defenseman? Again, if you don't have any of the fantasy defensemen, so no Pareko, no Ekholm, no Sanheim, no ASP, so no like unreal defensemen, I would do the Heisey and Kucherov and one defenseman. If you don't have any of the fantasy cards, two defensemen. I thought I'd change it up from Team of the Year questions and ask a Four Nations question. I noticed that we've already reached tier 2 and have not received any rewards for said tier. What's up with that? More than likely because the content team only does updates for things Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I'm guessing that's why. Two Team of the Year questions. Is the XP collectibles set the 82 for 87s chance worth the risk now, considering how necessary 87s are for Team of the Year cards? Also, do you know if the collectibles will be the same for week 2? So kind of easier to get a defenseman, considering we should be able to get 387s for objectives and logging in this week, and probably another next 3 next week. Yes, you should. It will be more than likely half the cost, or you'll get 200% of the stuff for a defenseman and goaltender. It should be easier. I struggle with the 82 to 87 set simply because it's all or nothing. I'm very risk adverse. I don't like the gambling aspect of Ultimate Team. So whenever I give you guys recommendations, it's like the most risk averse thing that I can give you guys. Because for every win that someone posts, there's 10 people that lose. I'd probably go 83 choice set. So the 4 83 and above items, and you get to choose one. I have never pulled something that's less than an 85. I'd probably go that route because at least you might get an 85. Like you have a strong chance at an 85. That's what I would recommend, because if you get an 82, you basically pulled an 81, and you need 381s to make an 83. Like it's just such a low ball. The one thing though, like if you have no other collection, you have a lot of collectibles, and you need like 687s, like you have to pull those, you probably shoot your shot on it. Like that would be, end of the week. Let's say you've made McKinnon, and you have X Factor McDavid, and you have enough collectibles to do like 5 of the 82 or 87 set, right? But you have no other way to get the 87s required to upgrade McDavid, right, from his X Factor. I'd probably shoot my shot and try to do that. Hey, Slaves, I started it after New Year's, and your content has been a massive help. Now I'm facing a hard timeline with Team of the Year. I've got 687 overall so far, and they all make my team a lot better. See, the thing is that even a few more 87s could make my team. If I trade them all in, then I'm back to players between 84 and 86 in those spots. Is it worth it to make the 90 base McKinnon or the ultimate one if I can manage to have enough 87s in the way it would generally make my team weaker the moment I do it? Ooh, interesting question. This is all going to depend if you play online or not. If you are a solely offline player, I would sewer my team. Unless they are your favorite players, okay? I would dump my entire team to get a Team of the Year item. If you are someone that plays online, doing that and then having to spend weeks building your team up to have like second and third lines that are actually like somewhat viable against a lot of players that have been playing all year, then I would go for the base McKinnon. I think, that would probably be the play. Hey, Slaves, team question. I have the ability right now to get Team of the Year Kucherov and power-up icon Gretzky. If I do this, I can't get Cale Makar next week. I would probably be able to get his 90 base card. Should I get Gretzky and Kucherov and base Makar, or just Gretzky and Makar keep the good content? Oh. Well, there's no guarantee that Makar wins. I think, that there's a debate about that. So a forward is more important than defenseman. Yeah, these contact situations are very difficult to recommend. I would go Team of the Year Kucherov. Assuming you already have McDavid or McKinnon, by the way. Like, if you don't have one of those two, 100% those guys. Hey, Sleeps, I see a lot of complaining about there is no free cards this event, but I want to say it has. They give enough free 87s through all the chores to get a free 90 overall Team of the Year non-ultimate. These need to be considered MSP cards without art. They have the same attributes minus the free AP and less abilities. 90s non-ultimate are like the 85 cover athlete MSPs, and the ultimates are like the 86 Hughes bros with a free upgrade. I think it's the best way EA could give us a little treat to the more casual player base and still give the big boys the more hardcore players. I want to be very clear here. The 90 base team of the year items, great addition to the game. I'm very critical of the content team this year, but I do make a point to voice the wins in my opinion, and I think that was a great addition to the game. I've been doing this, I've been doing this playing team of the year ever since it's been introduced since NHL 20, and one of the biggest issues is that the holiday players simply can't participate. Like last year, they had to make the Hutverse event run alongside it so that they at least had something to work towards, because a lot of people just can't afford to ever play with team of the year cards. So I do love that addition to the game, but you can only get 3 87s by my count for free. So you can't even get 5. What should have happened, in my opinion, is we should have got a B&D card, a 90 overall B&D card by completing everything, and and then enough 87s to make 1. I think that would have been the way to go. But they only gave 3 out of the 5 required, so you still have to trade in 2 to get the 90. I doubt anybody will see this, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on Wildcard. Did my first run Friday night before Team of the Year as an offline player. Somewhat enjoyed the mascot mode, hated drafting only one line of a full team. Feels like I'm playing a worse rush mode, yet I get my rewards in a quarter of the time, so it's a win but a fail. Biggest issue with Wildcard, man. It is something that everyone or a lot of the people in the community wanted, a draft style mode. However, it is so dumbed down that it has no identity. I've said this since the beginning of the game, that like it's trying to appease offline players and online players and literally accomplishes neither. It doesn't. The mascot mode, there are people out there that want just like a fun laid back thing. But if you play online, Wildcard like isn't that. If you play online, like you're going all out against an opponent, right? And what the Wildcard mode should have been is a full team draft. Not even bring a card. Like it should been every event card for every event. Like, I think the Gallery of Greats event wildcard week was the best it's ever been. They gave you like 4 Gallery of Great items to use, and that was awesome. You got to test out all the Master Set player items. They're so expensive that we should get to test out the card in an online or offline, if you're an offline player, setting so that we can see if we really like the card. It's such a miss, and it's such an easy fix, which is like why it's so frustrating to me, in my opinion. So this is probably overshadowed by Team of the Year, but I have a question. I pulled the 83 tradable power-up icon Scott Gomez. However, it won't let me send it to the trade pile set. When I try to power it down to 82, it gives me an error code and kicks me out of the game. I don't know what to do, and wondering, is EA aware of this? Any help would be appreciated. Thank you, so you keep the great work. I thought that just removing the token would do it. Make sure that you just go and remove it from. Also make sure it's out of your lineup. Like you have to remove it from your lineup. It can't be in any lineup that's active. That might be it. Do you recommend making the base 90 team of the year if you don't plan on playing past February, since McKinnon and McDavid are so good? If you don't plan on playing past February, yeah, like I said this in my ranking video. Like, if you or someone's brand new to the game, you don't have a lot of resources, you should not leave this event without making McDavid in some aspect. So whether it's his ultimate or his 90, that card is just so good. You should grab that card if you can. Team of the Year question. Hey, Sleeves. I got lucky pulling the McDavid nominee card, and I have the McDavid X Factor. I made McKinnon's Team of the Year with my fodder, since I had McDavid and Kucherov's X Factor. I still have enough fodder to make another Team of the Year item, possibly 2 after I got the collectibles. But I doubt it makes sense to make Team of the Year McDavid, and I'd go for Makar Hughes to round out my lineup. It seems like such a waste, but that's the right play. Guys, I want to point something out about the McDavid trade-in as well. I know a lot of people don't understand, or maybe they don't have McDavid. McDavid's a rare card. Not a lot of people had it, right? So the people that didn't grind for McDavid, a lot of them don't understand like why people are so frustrated with like having to trade that card in and paying on top of it. Usually when it comes to trade-in sets like these, there's a background economy that EA follows. Like to like an 86, two 86s is worth an 87, or 383s is worth an 85, or 385s is worth an 87, for example. That's just like set by EA. What kills me is a member of my community, G-Man, he was in my stream today, and I was making the Connor McDavid. I did the trade in for his X Factor. I had a lot of 87s, and I had a lot of cards that I had saved up over like the last week or so, and I was trading them in, right? And he asked a question as to why Kucherov costs 87 overall items and his X Factor, and McDavid costs 4. And a lot of people, and myself included, didn't see anything wrong with that. When you do the math, Kucherov is worth 1/4 of the cost set by EA, not by us. Like, they don't set the price of how much 75 and above overall items are. EA has no control over that. We set the market. EA has deemed that McDavid is worth 4 captain cards. Kucherov is 1 captain card. You need 4 of them. Therefore, his trade-in should be 2, not 4, which is like another just like F you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even like I don't know what's going on. I seriously don't. I don't know what's going on there. And it's when I realized that, I was just like, man, I don't even know how that gets greenlit, because I thought that it was just static. Like, EA's like background economy is like, oh, that's not right. Like, it should be this. It should be X. Literally makes no sense. There's no argument that it's not 2. It shouldn't even be 2. It should be 1 for 1, by the way. I'm struggling with this because technically, if you're going to play all year, the value is to just keep McDavid's X Factor and then make other ones. But if you are able to make the other one and still come up with the 4 required to make McDavid, go ahead and do that, because you get all of the benefits. Like, everyone is kind of harping on the fact that his X Factor will get the same abilities. The problem is we have to wait until McDavid upgrades to a 99 to get all of the abilities, or whatever it is. Like, he's probably not going to see another upgraded 91 until what, like March? So he's not going to get his next ability until then. And his Team of the Year gets them all right out the gate. Customizable synergies, all of it. It is worth it. Like, it's stupid that we have to pay, but I would try and pay the 4 and just get it done. Should I save my Makar 87 star of the month for next week, or is it unlikely he will provide a discount for his Team of the Year? It didn't work for McKinnon's, so I doubt it'll work for Makar's. Is anyone else having problems with the Nathan McKinnon Team of the Year set? I have the 87 plus cards, the 90 overall card to complete the set. However, the last 80 star won't upload. I showed that at the beginning of the video. Team of the Year question. I want to get Poulin's Team of the Year card. I have a little more than enough cards to make the 87s. Need to make her. On the other hand, I have way more than enough 78 to 79s to make her X Factor, and then use that to make the Team of the Year card. This would save me some higher value cards for future events, but I'm not sure it's worth it. I gotta be honest with you, man. I can't do the math off the top of my head. Just do the math. Like, if it would be of value to you. It's also going to take you forever probably to cash all that in. That's a question. I can't do the math off the top of my head. Sorry about that, man. But there's a right answer there. I just don't know. Hey, Slaves, I'm wondering if it's worth it to sell my 84s and 86s, since you can't put them in sets or keep them. Thanks. Have a good one. Here's what's going to happen, guys. First of all, I want to admit I was wrong about 86s, and this is why I hate giving market advice. I said leading up to Team of the Year, because the prior event required 86s, I assumed that they would at least use 86s. They did not. What I think will happen is that the next event that comes out after Team of the Year, they will probably use 86 plus cards in a set, and then restoring the value of 86 overall cards, because now they're at their lowest price. They're going for whatever 85s are. Team of the Year is the one event, though, where you don't want to nickel and dime and try and make coins. You want to try and get as many cards as possible. So you got to throw your 84s in the 83 set, and you got to throw your 86s in the 85 set. I don't know why they did not just make it a... Last year, every overall had a value tied to it, and that is how it should have been, especially with the autofill issue. They could completely avoid the autofill issue, or a lot of them, if you literally just did it via collectibles instead of having to open the packs. It just... nonsense, fellas. Just absolute nonsense. That is going to do it for this episode of Who Should You Choose. I'll be back again tomorrow to answer your Team of the Year questions, or any questions in general. I hope the error set thing at the beginning will help you guys fix that. Any problem for anyone that is trying to make a Team of the Year card. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one.